Shalom, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us to another episode of Ask the Elders. My name is Jadiel, one of the elders of the Assembly of Yahuah. And today we're going to answer a question that comes from Sister Robbie. And I think this is an interesting question. It pertains to the resurrection. It says, the question is, my question is regarding the faith believers who die before the Great Tribulation. Will they be a part of the first resurrection? So the question is about individuals who die before the something called the Great Tribulation. And then will they be partaking in something called the first resurrection? And I believe that this comes from a thought from a combination of two verses in Revelation. Revelation chapter 7, we're going to look at the first verse. Revelation, the first verse in which this question is pertained to. Revelation chapter 7, we're going to start from verse 9. And it says, after this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, kindreds, people, tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our Elohim, which sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and the elders, and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped Elohim, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto Elohim forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying to me, who are these who are arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from? Verse 14 says, I said unto him, Sir, you know. And he said to me, these are they which came out of the great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So this group of individuals, which according to verse 9, is a great multitude no man can number. They come from many nations, many families, many peoples, and they have washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. According to verse 9, it says that they are clothed. They are standing before the throne, and they are clothed with white robes, which is an indicator that they have connected themselves with Messiah. Revelation chapter 3, the Messiah gives an invitation to the believers towards the end of time. He says in Revelation chapter 3, verse 18, it says, I counsel you to buy from me gold tried in the fire, which that you may be rich, and white clothing or white garments, that the shame of your nakedness would not appear, and anoint your eyes with eye salve that you may see. So in Revelation chapter 3, verse 18, Messiah is offering to those believers which are present at that time to buy of him not only gold tried in the fire, to anoint their eyes also with eye salve, but also to get from him white raiment or white garments. So this is the robes that we see this multitude wearing that go through the Great Tribulation. Now, this also gives us a little point in time of when they will come out from Babylon, or from the confusion of this world. And it says in the very beginning of Revelation chapter 7, it says in verse 1, and after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, do not hurt the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of Elohim in their foreheads. And it says in verse 4, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So when the Father seals his servants, those who are in servitude to him, when he seals his servants in their forehead, they will go about performing a work on this earth, preaching and teaching the the truth, just as John the Baptist said. And the result is going to lead to a multitude of individuals, nations coming out from the corrupt government, which is referred to as Babylon in Revelation 14 as well as Revelation 18. And they will come out and they will go through this time of tribulation, which occurs towards the last days, in the last days. Now, the question talks about, will the faith believers which die before this particular time partake in the first resurrection? Now, where's the first resurrection located in Scripture? Is Revelation chapter 20. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20. So we see that this multitude with the white robes that partake in the Great Tribulation are individuals who are the result, basically, of receiving the message, receiving the truth during a very, very hard time in history, which is coming upon us very soon. Revelation chapter 20, we're going to look at verse 4 to 6. It says, "And I saw upon them thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy, or set apart, is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of Elohim, of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him for 1,000 years." So here it talks about those individuals who were persecuted, not only from the beast, but also from the image, because we see in Revelation 13, the beast and the image do not occur at the same time. Though they work together, but they do not begin in the same time. The beast actually occurs years before the image is set up, according to Revelation 13. But we see that the individuals who are partaking in the first resurrection are individuals who have went through a great tribulation, a great persecution throughout history. The time of the beast, according to Daniel chapter 7 and according to Revelation 13, is approximately 1,260 years. So this time frame is also included in the individuals that have maintained their faithfulness to Yah during this persecution. And they will partake in the first resurrection. But will they be the only ones partaking in the first resurrection? There's something very interesting about the term second death, because there's an indicator that there's two resurrections. The first one and the second one brings you to the second death. The reason why it's referred to as the second death is because when we die, we are raised either to everlasting life, or we are raised to be judged according to our works. Now, let's look at a few verses which show the evidence of this. Daniel chapter 12, and then we're going to go to the words of Hamashiach. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, tells us a little bit about what's going on in the last days. Daniel chapter 12, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great ruler, which stands for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Verse 2, "Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt." Two resurrections, one to death, one to life. Let's look at what the Messiah says in John chapter 5. John chapter 5. John chapter 5, it tells us here in verse 28 of John chapter 5, verse 28, it says, "Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in which all they that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. Again, two resurrections. One is a second death, and then the other is the gift of everlasting life. So we see that there is only two. So all the righteous, though they will be rewarded differently, as we read through the scripture, you can find evidence of that. Different individuals will be rewarded differently. Different righteous individuals will be rewarded differently at the resurrection, but they will all be resurrected together in that first resurrection. The second resurrection is designated specifically for the judgment of the wicked, and it's referred to as the second death in Revelation chapter 20. I want to show one more verse in the book of Thessalonians. We're going to look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16 says, "For the Master himself shall descend from heaven with the shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of Elohim, and the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so shall we be ever with the Master. Wherefore comfort one another with these words." So the resurrection, when the Messiah descends in his second coming, according to John chapter 5, all that are in the graves will hear his voice, and the first ones to rise will be those who are dead in Messiah. It says in verse 16 of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Everyone who are in Messiah, every single individual, they will also be gathered together with those who are alive that have been blessed and strengthened to see the second coming while they were living. And they will be gathered together with the dead that are raised, and they will meet the Messiah in the air and be with him together. Both dead and the living who are in Messiah will be with the Messiah from that point on and forever. The next mention of any resurrection, we know that there's two, is in Revelation chapter 20, and it's referred to as the second death. So I hope that this is clear. All faith believers will be partakers of the first resurrection. All those who are written in the book of life will be partakers of the first resurrection. The second death is designated for those who have rejected the truth and have lived wicked lives contrary to the word of Yah. So I hope that this was clear. If there's any questions, if I may have overlooked an important emphasis of your question, please send us a question again. We'll be happy to go over this question again in more detail. There's plenty of more information in scripture about this resurrection. So again, I want to just mention, thank you for joining us in our series. If you would like to support our ministry, you can go to assemblyofyahuah.com. You can definitely donate there. To support us is to support the people who fellowship with us, the people who desire to gather during the feast, and those who are having trouble financially. The money goes to the help of the people. The money goes to the storehouse, so there will be meat in Yah's house for the people. So if you would like to donate, go to assemblyofyahuah.com, and you can check out the donate, the give option. If there's any more questions, please feel free to go on our website and send us more questions as well. You guys have a blessed night. Shalom.